Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Living the Gita session this week. I know you've had a great week filled with Diwali and festivities, and it's been sweet, sweet, sweet instances and ceremonies. And you've done a lot of socializing and sure you had a great time. Yeah? You had a great time with family and friends? Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes. Yeah. Today is also a wonderful day. Today is Govardhan Leela, Govardhana Puja. Just now, I took part in it. We made a big, huge Annakuta and they're going to feed on it. I will finish the session and then go and we did a very, very loud kirtan. And for the first time, all the devotees were physically allowed to come after a very, very long time. So they were like revenge kirtan, revenge presence in the Govardhan Puja. They wanted to live it out. I said, I can't go beyond this. I've got a session. Yeah, but they're having a lot of fun. Kirtan, bhajan, and there'll be a big feast, and there was a big puja for Govardhana. Today is the wonderful day when Krishna performed the amazing Leela of lifting Govardhana hill on his left hand's little pinky, little finger. He lifted the Govardhana hill and stood like that for 7 days. This is proof of the fact that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If anybody claims to be God, Prabhupada said he should lift the Govardhana hill on his little finger and then I can believe him. So, an amazing Leela Krishna did. 7 years old he was. And although the Bhagavad Gita has got official statements from him, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am the source of everything. But here you will see Krishna at home with his family members, with his closest friends, the Gopas, and with his gopis and everybody together, so intimately connected that you will see a different reality and aspect of God, his personal aspect, how he is personally is very beautiful, and how he gives great pleasure to all the gopis, the gopas, to Nanda Maharaj, to Yashoda Mai, and all of them together. We heard the Damodara Leela, how Krishna is getting tied to the mortar and how he is completely under the control of his mother. How that Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who speaks in the Bhagavad Gita and reveals himself as a supreme, can also come under the control of his devotee. Bhaktya Vashyata is putting himself under the control of his devotee totally. So vulnerable, but very happily vulnerable in the hands of his mother, who is binding him up with a rope and who remains bound. It is mentioned, Bhakti Baddham, bound by the rope of love, and therefore he can't untie it, although he is the Supreme. So these are beautiful, wonderful aspects of the personality of Godhead and his pastimes with his devotees. So today, similarly, he lifted the Govardhana hill to teach Indra Deva, who is in charge of rain, a lesson. And very clearly he showed to the whole world that you don't need to worship anybody else. By worshiping the Supreme Godhead, everybody else is automatically satisfied. So today he performed that Leela, and there is a huge amount of people in Vrindavan walking and doing the parikrama of the Govardhan hill, which is about 23 to 24 kilometers. I hope I'll be able to take you someday and take you on this parikrama. We can at least go partially walking and partially riding on some vehicle. Right. So all the devotees do a full 24 kilometers walk barefooted. They chant Krishna's names in Kirtan and Bhajan and do. It's very amazing. I did not go because of all this COVID stuff and everything. But they just called me up from Vrindavan and said, Maharaj, nobody is worried about COVID here. Nobody is wearing mask. Why are you not here? They're all saying that this is Krishna's place. Who's bothered about COVID? And they're walking around. I said, that's why I'm not there. I'm still not so Krishna conscious. So today is a great day and there are wonderful things Krishna did today. So we have this auspicious moment today to be able to read the Bhagavad Gita and see the other side of Krishna, his godly side. But before we understand that, we understand why he lifts the hill and how he can lift the hill and how he steals butter and all his personal aspects. It'll be very important for us to know some very foundational things. Therefore, today, I am going to take into a very, very important foundational and fundamental aspect of Bhagavad Gita. I would like you to hear very carefully. I would like you to think and deliberate very carefully. Because if you understand these concepts correctly, the rest of the Gita will be easy. And I'm not saying that you must instantly understand, but think about it, deliberate, ask questions, discuss it. We'll do as much as we can today. I don't want to push it down your throat, but as much as we can take, and we can even overflow into the next week. But I think it's very important that you should understand. Maybe some of these things you already know. And you may be even thinking, I know about it. But you will be also surprised to know that Krishna is giving some very technical information about yourself, about all of us. And this very foundational, fundamental, and technical information is very much required for us. Okay? So that's a little introduction I wanted to give you because I thought that today it's important for us to get that little information. So I think you remember from previous times what we did during the previous sessions. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj.
Right. If anything goes wrong, immediately you can shout out. My assistants are also here. So we peeked into the chapter 2. And in the initial stage is still about next 10. We saw how Arjuna is still clinging on to his indecision, his sort of analysis, and his conclusion that he should not fight. And because of that, he remains undecided. Krishna chastises him. Anarya jushtam asvargyam akirtim karam Arjuna. This is anarya. This is uncivilized for you to say this. Actually, this is proof of the fact that Bhagavad Gita is meant for Aryans, and Aryans were filling the place fully here. And we discussed that theory that Aryans is a race that came from outside and populated the whole of India, which is totally wrong as per the statement of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is obviously an Aryan, and all these great people were all Aryans. They were actually very civilized people. And that's what is the meaning of Aryans. So Krishna chastises Arjuna, scolds Arjuna, kutasva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam. How did this impurity come on you? It is not befitting of somebody like you, an Arya like you. Why do you behave like a non-Aryan? In this way, Krishna chastises him for his reluctance, for the confusion, and for him having gone down in his understanding, right? And then Arjuna gives answers. He says, how can you expect me to fight people like Bhishma and Drona are all worthy of respect? I know they have done a lot of wrong also, but then it's better for us to, and he had his own logic. And then Krishna chastised him for that also. And then Arjuna said, please, I don't know, I cannot fight. Better you accept me as your disciple and teach me. I need counseling at this moment. And then it's mentioned, Prahasan Iva Bharata, that Krishna smiled in between the two armies, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. He smiled at the fact that Arjuna, his friend, wants to become his disciple. So he smiled at that. And then he started speaking. From 2.11 onwards, Krishna opens his Bhagavad Gita account. Because Arjuna has become his disciple and he has requested him, please teach me. Right? So Arjuna represents all of us and all of the confusions we have, all of the difficulties we have, all of the problems we have, and all the decisions we have to make, confounding, conflicting, and sometimes very bewildering situations that we are in, that we discussed last time, perplexities. Okay, so today we will discuss Krishna's opening the whole Bhagavad Gita. Before that, I request all of you to join me in offering prayers on this auspicious day to Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nina. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. That's a short prayer that we'll offer today. Somebody is saying that portion of the screen is covered. Okay. All right. 1 minute. Okay, so here goes. With the blessings of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we will delve into the second aspect. I think in the last session, we saw how Arjuna's attachment to Dronacharya, to Bhishma, and to the people, his relatives and his clan, creates a lot of perplexities, and it sort of eats his vitality out. And we understood that these type of perplexities are something that we need to solve. We need to accept a bona fide guru, Sadguru, coming in the line of disciplic succession and sort out our problems, as it is mentioned there very nicely. We discussed this aspect also, not any willy-nilly anybody as guru, because the important thing is the counselor and the counsel, the guru, you should accept a bona fide guru to solve life's perplexing problems. Because if it is not bona fide, he will most probably not be able to solve it, although he may profess to do so, right? And you will suffer. Better accept a proper guru as instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll read more about it in the 4th chapter also. Then in choosing the guru, We should exercise the caution to see that he's coming in the proper parampara, that he speaks as per the Bhagavad Gita, the Sadhu, Shastra, Guru triangle, and we should be willing to deliberate, test out, and see the best. Because once you accept a Guru after all that you've done, then your business is to follow the advice, right? You can always ask questions and clarifications and everything. So this is very important for us to do it in life. In life, we have to accept a spiritual master. Otherwise, your life is not going to be complete and successful. We saw that. And Krishna is opening his account here. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asocha Yanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadhamscha Bhashase Gata Sung Agata Sungscha Nanu Sochanti Pandita. Very beautiful. Krishna's opening shloka is, he first of all chastises. You know, this is very important. You know why? Because Krishna, Arjuna, his sentiments he had expressed, the reasons he had given, I think all of us will gel with it. Definitely, you must have affection for the people. And what is wrong in having a little attachment for your elders who have done so much for you? But all that wonderful reasoning, even Prabhupada said in his purport, he is a wonderful soul. He is very qualified. He is fit to get liberation. He is intelligent. He is well educated. And he is very experienced. And he's thinking deeply. And whatever he is saying and he has sorted out is pretty good. But it is not good enough for a person like Arjuna. It is not good enough for a human being who has higher values and goals of life. It is not enough for an Aryan, for a civilized human being. And that is why you'll see Bhagavad Gita actually does not agree with that. That's why Krishna is saying here, what are you lamenting like this? Why are you crying like this? Asochayanan vasochastvam prajnavadhamscha bhashase. Prajnavadham, very intelligent talking you did, speaking learned words. But actually, you know what you're doing? You're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Because I'll tell you, you forgot the truth. This is ignorance which you're showing to me. Whatever arguments you put up and whatever conclusions you drew and finally saying, I'm not going to fight, it is the conclusion of somebody who is not at all learned. Although seemingly you look very learned. This is the case with our education in the modern world today. We all are very educated. We are right up to masters and PhD and everything. But when things strike like this, we are knock-kneed, completely gone, and we are finished. To hell with the PhD, to hell with everything else. Who can help me? Perplexities will catch you. Neither your PhD, nor Prabhupada says your economic situation or the rich so-and-so situation that you have. None of these things can really help you. You have to be educated spiritually. And that is the main point that Krishna is making. You look like a very learned person talking, but actually you don't know anything. Nanu sochanti pandita. He very sarcastically is telling, oh, Pandit, why are you crying if you're a Pandit? You see, this shloka is very sarcastic. He's saying, you speak very learned and you're very great Pandit, but why are you crying? Why are you lamenting? Something's wrong with your education. Something wrong with you. If you're educated, if you're learned, and if you could put those arguments, why are you in a situation where you have to cry and you have to come to me and you have to say, teach me, right? So there is some problem in that. So all those wonderful things that we think morally, ethically, religiously is correct, which Arjuna is saying, actually is not correct. That's why Bhagavad Gita is very important. Don't confuse these two things. Don't conflate them into one. Krishna is going to speak amazing things, arguing everything that Arjuna has mentioned. After saying this, first thing he says is, Natva evaham jatu nasam Natvam neme janadipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. Maybe you should read the previous shloka also. Okay, I'll choose Sandhya Nair. Go ahead and read the translation of the previous one, 2.11. We all want to hear you.
Just a minute, please.
Can you see it? Oops. I caught you off guard. Maybe you need your spectacles.
No, I went to get the book.
Oh, really? You can't see the screen, Sandhya?
Hi, you want me to read from the screen?
Yeah, just the translation alone. That's on the
All
screen.
right. Actually, it is partly covering the translation.
That's what
but
I
I'll
want
try
to
to
know.
read. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
Right? Look at the argument he puts up.
Yes.
It's not worthy of any grief. If you're wise, you will lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
Not for the dead.
That's a very powerful statement. Thank you, Sandhya. Very powerful statement. So be prepared. Then the next shloka, let me ask Sunit Kumar to read it. Sunit, I can see your picture. I know you're hiding behind your picture. Today we're going to talk about identity, Sunit. So we want you to read this translation of text 12. I will be springing surprises on you like this, all of a sudden. Sunit, would you like to read that? Are you there?
Sorry, I'm not able to see the screen.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can everybody see the screen?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Sometimes it is partly covered.
But now is it through?
Now it is
Clear,
okay.
clear.
Okay, please go ahead.
No, but it's too small.
sorry.
No?
It's too small? I can see a full screen.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all those things, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
Oh, thank you. Right. So look at this. Krishna is reinforcing. There is never a time when he did not exist. There is no ceasing to exist. Neither me nor all these people who are there on the battlefield. And neither in the future will it be like that. In other words, we constantly exist. We are always living. We are eternally existing. Look at that statement. And Prabhupada gives a very brilliant purport, explaining the individuality of each one of us is eternal. It's forever. A core individuality of ours is eternally existing. In other words, there is no seizure of your individual existence. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean by saying that I always live, I always exist? Something interesting, right? So who am I who always exists? Who is continuously feeling my conscious existence? Then Krishna comes forward to speak more about this. But we often don't think about this. In fact, we have all this education that we have had, puts us into all sorts of identity crises. I don't know, because there is theory saying that Darwin's theory of evolution says we evolved from the monkeys. Maybe I was one before. And I have those vasanas, I've got those traits even now. So somewhere inside, I've got those DNA and RNAs maybe. I don't know what I am. If I ask you a question, who are you? what would your answer be? If I ask each one of you a simple question, who are you? Let me ask this question of you. You may show me your ID card, especially in the place that you work. You will say that this is what I am known as. Interesting. What do all of you have to say about that? I'm going to stop sharing with you very briefly. Don't say something to be right. Just say what you think you are, according to your own understanding. You don't have to be right. You don't have to quote the Bhagavad Gita. You don't have to feel the pulse of yourself. Who do you think you are? If I ask you this question, who are you? What would you normally say immediately? Put it on the chat, please. Put it on the chat.
I'm Sunit Kumar.
Okay. You mentioned your name, Sunit. Thank you. Well, somebody is saying, I'm a human being. Very interesting. Right. But you're not different from many others here who are also human beings, right? So you have a common, you don't have a specific identity. You are one of them. You're one of the many billions of people on this planet. The population of the planet is about 7.5 billion or something. So all are human beings, 7.5 billion human beings, and you're one of them. Somebody else is saying, I'm a homemaker. Wow, that is a little more special. All the 7.5 billions are not homemakers. Some of them are, sure. You're a homemaker. You are a soul. Where did I hear that?
I'm the child of my parents.
I remember hearing that somewhere, that you're a soul. I'm a unique woman. Now that's really interesting. Maragadam is saying, I'm a unique woman. You sure are. There is nobody else like you. I know that. Thank you. I'm a girl. Wow.
I'm the child of my parents.
Okay. Peck of God's soul. I'm a mother, daughter, grandmother, friend, wife, and a beautiful human being. Wow. See what people think about themselves is interesting, right? What all they think about themselves. I am one among the many. Humble soul brought into this world by my parents. Father of a child and son. Husband. I am a God's gift. Madhavi. Okay, Shanti. I am an eternal spirit soul. Sandhya. I am a human being who is known as someone's daughter, wife, mother, and so on. I'm an innocent boy, yaar. Don't trouble me with all these questions like who are you and all that. Let's get going. Well, I like that, Shubham. I wish I would get to see you and then I'll really know whether you're an innocent boy. Shanti Vidya Sagar, I'm a spirit soul. I really don't. So I am here as God's wish and playing a role that was assigned to me, I guess. Okay. Swayendhini. Right. Do you see a pattern? Do you see a pattern in this answers? What do you see? You see, each one has got their own understanding and idea about who they are, according to their own perception. Okay? Thank you for being very honest, and thank you very much for feeding into this thing. It helps us a lot. Each one of us can actually get to know something about this question of who am I? Right? So you see that. Do you think that there should be one answer to this? Do you think there should be one answer to this? Or do you think that it's okay, whatever each one thinks he is, there's nothing wrong. Let each one have their own perceptions on who they are. What does it matter? As long as we are able to, get my food every day and get my necessities every day, it's okay. What do you think? What do you think? Should there be one answer commonly? Or could
Yes,
be
there should be one answer.
Some people say no. Some people say yes. We are seeking to be Arjun. Wow, here comes an ambitious man, Arunav. Yes, only one specific answer should be there. Yeah, God's creation. Right, I'll leave that dangling inside you. I'm going to enjoy leaving that question dangling inside you because I'm going to unravel something more for you. Okay? Let's see where Krishna takes us. What has Krishna got to say about everything to us? Let's check it out. Okay? Right. This is what Krishna is saying. Can you see my screen? You are Atma, soul, spiritual in nature. You are not this body, this material body, this subtle body is not you. You are spirit soul. You are Atma. Now let's understand what this is. There are two things Krishna teaches us in the second chapter. Very important for us to know. One thing is called matter, other thing is called spirit. In the material world, we are all very expert with matter. We study about matter throughout from our science days in the younger classes that we studied. Biology, chemistry, physics, math, everything. We learn about science. We learn about matter, how matter behaves, Newton's laws of motion, F is equal to ma, force is equal to mass into acceleration. We learn about atom, we learn about molecules, we learn about subatomic particles. We learn about matter and how matter behaves. There are laws. There is Ohm's law. There is Newton's law. There is Pascal's law. There is this law. There is that law. Matter behaves in various ways and obeys these laws. And by manipulating some of these things, we can use matter. And it is exciting to manipulate matter and manufacture amazing amount of things. Human beings have advanced in exploiting matter through these laws and have understood the secret. They have broken open the code of nature and they are utilizing that and advancing in matter. You know all these things. You've been studying. Mostly they teach you about matter and science and medicine and everything else. Except maybe humanities, they do some philosophy. That's matter. You know everything about matter. And there is something called spirit that they never talk about, especially in our modern education institutions. But previously in India, under every tree, there was a guru teaching this first, telling everybody, first thing you should know is you are spirit. You are spiritual. You are a spirit soul. You are Atma. From that platform, you can study matter much, much better. If you're ignorant about your own identity, it will not be possible for you to study matter, use matter, understand matter. In fact, if you don't study yourself properly, matter will use you. It's got power. It's got an energy behind it, which we know in common parlance as Maya Shakti. So if you don't wake up and understand your identity properly, who are you? And if you forget that and be absorbed in matter and material things, then that matter will control you. You can see that happening today. Technology is eating up our youngsters. Social media, technology, and all that stuff is completely smothering our youngsters. And what they need is this education so that they can wake up and be themselves and utilize matter for my benefit instead of allowing technology to use me. So spirit is you. So this thing which is sitting down with your identity, your body, your external look, which you see in front of a mirror, that is not you. This body belongs to you, but you are spirit soul. And that soul is what Krishna is saying. Natva eva ham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa nachaiva bhavishyamah sarvevayam adaha param. That individuality which you have, spirit soul. For the spirit, there is no destruction at all. It's only matter around the spirit that is changing. And that's very interesting Krishna explains. Now let us understand a little more in detail. I will just pick out graphically and show you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Here you can see on the screen your gross body, Jada Sharira. It's made out of bones, flesh, skin, marrow, blood, pancreas, intestines, heart, lungs, etc., etc., veins. All these things is called your gross body, Jada Sharira. This is what can sometimes go wrong, and you can go to the hospital, you will have a surgery, you will have a suturing done, you will have a cold, cough, fever, corona, God forbid. You will have all sorts of other things, ailments, and then you get cured in the hospital or with a doctor, and you set it right. There's another thing called the subtle body, the fine body, which you don't actually see with the eyes at all much. It comprises of mind, intelligence, and false ego, manaha, buddhi, ahankar. It is a sukshma sharira, the subtle body, the gross body, and then there is a subtle body. And then inside is you, soul.
It's 9 o'clock.
Consciousness is streaming out from the soul. And that soul, that conscious, most powerful you, that actually energizes the entire subtle and gross body. It is not that the subtle and gross body have energy on their own. They are simply matter, dead matter that follows Newton's laws of motion, actually. But when it is plugged into consciousness from the soul, then it becomes alive, animated, talk, gesture, think, will, feel emotions, walk, run, fight, get angry. All these things are activities of the gross body and the subtle body. But they're all powered in by the soul. You are spirit soul. Now, don't think in your mind the spirit soul is some sort of a light, a blob, or something like that. I'm sure you're thinking the spirit soul is you. You have a personality. You have an individuality. You are conscious about it. You can feel like the famous rationalist René Descartes. Cogito ergo sum. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. He rationalized on himself and said that I exist as a conscious person. I can see that I can think rationally. I can understand that I exist. I am an individual. So even anybody with your own little rationality, if you just deeply introspect, you will know that you are an individual, a person. And that thinking is occurring through the mind, which is an instrument you have. That discriminating is occurring through the intelligence, which is another instrument you have. And this body can take you towards the hospital, can actually move you towards your lunch, can actually feel pain, sorrow, everything, depending on how it is utilized. So these three packaging, you can say you, soul, completely spiritual in nature. The rest is all material. The subtle body is subtle matter. Just like right now I have a, breeze blowing at me from the fan. The air is very subtle. It is not something that I can lick, I can taste, I can, catch hold of. It is subtler than this table that I'm sitting on or the chair that I'm sitting on. I can feel the table. I can feel this texture, it's got a laminate on it. I can actually understand its size by running it from one end to the other, right? I can gauge many things with it because my senses, my sense of touch can actually gauge it. It is within my sensual perception, and therefore I can gauge it in some way using my mind and my touch sensation. Or I can see it at a distance and look at the color and look at the feel of it, the texture of it. All these things are data that my senses will give about the objects. And all this happens through my gross body and my subtle body. But the person operating inside this body is you. Just like a car. A car has got a whole system and a mechanism inside. But it is waiting for the driver to put the key into the ignition and turn it up. And then the car starts, the engine starts rumbling. And then as you change the gear, release the clutch and put on the accelerator, it boom, it surges forward. And then it starts going and moving long distance. You can drive for hours and hours together and reach another state, maybe even another country. You can actually cross borders. You can move in the car. But when the car is moving, you know that the car is moving not by on its own, because it's got this mechanism, it can do things. Of course, I'm not talking about driverless cars of Tesla and everything now. In the example, we should not look into that now. But you will see there's a mover of the car. There is a driver of the car. And at one point of time, he will park the car, stop it, shut it, and just lock it up and move off. And maybe go and take a refreshment in the bunk, talk to some people, ease himself up, and then come back. And again, he starts the car and moves. He is the prime mover in the car. And the car has got a subtle control mechanism. And it's got a gross mechanism, clutches, gears, and cams, and flywheels, and the wheels moving, the rotary motion of the piston, and the banging and firing of the piston, and that rotary motion being transferred through a cam, through reciprocatory motion of that transferred to rotary motion, and the wheels rotate, and then there is surging forward. All these things are happening, but the mover is the driver. He has got the key. Same way, the analogy is that you are the driver of this vehicle, which you see, the body in front of the mirror. It's a facility. It's made out of matter, subtle and gross matter. And you were distinctly different from this matter, spirit, soul, are the driver of this body. And you are moving it. So you are different from this body. Your nature is spirit, but the body is made out of matter. So these three packagings, two packagings, the soul, on top of that is the subtle packaging, then on top of that is the gross packaging. Let me tell you another example. The hardware and the software in a computer. You can buy the hardware, then you can load the software, and you are the programmer. You know what is what, both the hardware and the software, and you utilize the software and the hardware to make money from your home. Work from home, and you make money. So you know how to use this and do what you need to do and survive. So there is a software, it's called the subtle body, and there is a grossware that's called the gross body. And there is you, who's very distinctly different from this machine. You can walk off anytime, shut it off, and then walk off on your own. Independent of this machine you are actually. And that's what you are as spirit soul. Just as much as you walked away from the car, locking it, and you could show mobility, you can become mobile on your own also. And you go and take a refreshment, and then you come back and use the car to increase the efficiency of your mobility. In this way, soft packaging, hard packaging together is what you're seeing. And it's very easy for you to mistake that I am this external thing that I see in the mirror. And what I see in the other person, he is that. I know him, the tall, dark, handsome man with that heavy voice. I know her. She is a reasonably tall lady, and she's very good singer, and she's very charming. And I know every one of them, we gauge according to their subtle and gross bodies. That is how we got to know people. Only on the surface. We don't know their real identities. So Krishna is saying here another amazing thing. After we have understood that we are not this body, we are spirit soul inside this body. We are spiritual beings. Krishna is saying, I'll give you proof of the fact that you're not this body. Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. Okay, who is up and willing to read this immediately? Shalini, can you read this?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah, go
As
ahead.
the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change.
Amazing example. Thank you, Shalini. An amazing example Krishna is giving. He's saying it's not difficult for you to understand that you're not this body, because your body is already changing in this lifetime. It has changed from a small baby to a young man, from a young man to youth, from a young man to a little older man, and then old, and then you die. So before that, you can see your body. Where is your baby body? Where is your young body going to school? From boyhood to youth, Kaumaram, Yavvanam, Jara. Kaumara means boyhood, Yavvana means youth, Jara means old age. Tata dehantara praptir. The soul will take another deha, another body at death, and then go through that also with boyhood, youth, old age. And that is going on constantly. What's the big deal? Your body is already changing even in this lifetime. Isn't that very interesting example? Powerful example that Krishna is giving. I'll stop here briefly, pause here a little bit, because I think there is a lot of things to be understood in this. So Krishna's example, first he said that individuality never ceases. And then he's also saying there's a constancy. And then he's saying that you're foolish to think that, these people are going to die by your arrow. You call yourself a great Pandit, right? Don't you know this? Very powerful statement. And then he goes ahead to say, Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara. Dehino asmin dehe. Asmin dehe means inside this deha, that person who is there, he can watch the body going through babyhood, boyhood, youth, and old age. He can feel it. He can actually see no more that same picture is there of him. Can't you not see that? So is it your body not changing already? So it is not you. You are not the body. Why are you changing if you are the body? If you're not the body, why should you change? So in this way, Krishna gives a powerful logic. And he is putting Arjuna in place. I want you to think deeply about this, about yourself. You have passed through life. Some of you may be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. If you look back and see, you have changed, your body has changed, but you have not changed. You are the same person, isn't it? You are the same person. Just think about it, how important it is for us to know this. So here it is. I'll show you a little clip. That samsara means going from this whole cycle, one into the other. It's called the cycle of birth and death. You have passed through this many times. Krishna is saying you have reincarnated again and again. But you have constantly been the same person, the soul who doesn't change, but the bodies have changed.
The soul cannot be measured with any scientific instrument. Yet this minute, non-material entity, the soul, is so powerful that it unceasingly activates each body throughout its entire lifetime. This tiny little spark of life thus moves from one body to another. This is called reincarnation. It is not difficult to understand. Even in our own life, we live in different bodies. Medical science has demonstrated that all of our cells are replaced every 7 years, including even the brain. On the battlefield, Krishna tells Arjuna,
as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from childhood to youth to old age, the soul likewise passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change.
Well, that's amazing. If you look into your own pictures that you have collected from young age, you know, you feel this. I am a traveler. I have been traveling for long through many, many lifetimes, through many, many bodies. In this lifetime itself, I am changing bodies. And so why is it difficult for me to understand that I'll take another body and another and another and another? But I am constantly existing through various bodies. So the body is not really important. You are important. The soul is important. You as spirit soul are important. This is one of the most important things we have to learn. You are soul, Atma. You have a body. You are not the body. You possess a body, right? But you, as your identity, should understand the constant core, changeless core is as spirit soul. That's what you are. So don't get enamored too much with your own bodily existence or get involved in another body by attraction to another body, another personality, whom you see in terms of the body. Atmavat manyate jagat. Chanakya Pandit said, you will see others and the world like you see yourself. What is your understanding about your identity? In the same way you'll see others. There's an amazing trap in that. If you don't get your identity properly, you'll make mistake compounded many times in the way you see others and relate with others. Isn't this amazing? No wonder every relationship is screwed up. Lots of relationship problems in this world. Why? Because you don't know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, and you look at others in the same wrong understanding of yourself, you will be at loggerheads with them. And they have their own perceptions about you also. So this world is filled with people who have perceptions about each other, and nobody gets it right. Nobody gets it right. So Krishna is first starting, you can see amazingly, is hitting at the root. The foundation is, first thing I want to tell you, Arjuna, is you're wrong in your premise. First, you must understand who are you. And then you'll be able to see Drona and Bhishma in a completely different way. The problem is with you because you don't see yourself properly. Atmavat manyate jagat. So this is a life hack. If you don't see yourself properly, you're finished. So this is a foundational information that Krishna is giving. First, ground yourself in the understanding that I am eternal. I am spirit soul. I am not this body. I have a body. It's not that I have a soul. I have a body. I am the soul. Right? Very important to know that. And here is Krishna capping it up very nicely. Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va nabhuyah ajo nityah shashvato ayam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Isn't that wonderful? Priya, can you read this, Priya? The translation?
For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Thank you, Priya. So, nahanyate hanyamane sharire. He is not slain when the body is slain. When you die, the so-called understanding die, actually only the body dies. You continue to live. You continue to be consciously aware, I'm existing. This is very amazing. Krishna is explaining. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grihanati naro parani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Another explanation, another example is giving. Just like, you have a dress and morning you wear a new dress and in the night you take it out and wear your night dress. You keep changing your dress every day. Similarly, you change your body at death. You throw away the old body. At birth, you get a new body. What's your problem in understanding this? These examples are given by Krishna to Arjuna. Look at this guy just taking his zipper off and removing his cloth. That is death. I change my dress, but I just slip into a new dress. That's called birth. But I am a constant existing factor. It's just that I'm changing the dress. It's very important to know. I exist continuously. I'm consciously existing. Natvevaham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa. A wonderful philosophical aspect Krishna is bringing about our identity. And he's speaking this on the battlefield to Arjuna. Right? So you must know that you are constantly in being. I want to use the word being. And as a human being, your life is very rare and valuable. You have evolved from many, many lower forms of life. The human life is the highest. And there's a lot mentioned about it. You've evolved through many, many species of life. It's very interesting to know that. Okay? Evolution from many species of life. This is a beautiful figure of many, 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 many living creatures making up a human being. Actually, you go through life. You have gone through many different lives. And all your records and data in a massive bank, time to wake up, much bigger than what Google has. Come on now, wake up, sleeping soul. Yeah, wake up, it's time to wake up. Come on now, wake up, sleeping soul. Sleeping soul. Wake up, yeah. It's time to wake up. Wake up, yeah. Come on now, wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up now, hey. You have gone through many, many bodies. You've gone through many, many lifetimes. Many, many. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. A Mahatma is a person who, after going through many, 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 many crores of lifetimes, has understood finally who I am, who is God, what's my relationship. So this is the primary quality of the soul, you. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means eternal. Chit means naturally full of knowledge. Ananda means full of bliss, not just happiness, bliss, made out of Ananda, made out of Chit, made out of Sat. That's the nature of the spiritual soul. So, if you've forgotten your real nature as spirit soul, if you think I am this body and you get attached to another body, then that causes suffering. That causes perplexities. And that is what the Guru will teach you. You fool, you're not this body. And you can't get stuck to another body like that in sentiment and all that. You should understand deeply what's your identity and work from that platform. Right? We are Satchitananda. We are eternity, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And added to that, we are not just human beings like some of you described yourself. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience just when you come for Living the Gita series alone once in a week, or you come for BGO, Bhagavad Gita overview session, or Gita live session. Once in a while, you like to take that session because it makes you feel spiritual. The rest of the time, you remain a human being. No, you're a spiritual being constantly throughout. You're temporarily having a human experience. How does that sound? This is exactly what Krishna is trying to tell. You are not human beings having a spiritual experience. You're spiritual beings permanently having a temporary human experience. That is the real definition. So here, note this point. The good news Krishna is telling is, you don't die. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Ajo nityah shashvato ayam purano. Ajo nityah. Aja means unborn. Nityah means forever, eternal. Shashvato means permanently. Ayam purana hai, very old. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. When this body dies, the soul doesn't die. You are not the body, your soul. So I'm giving you this good news for tonight. The body dies. You don't die. You're eternal. Think about it. You continue to live beyond death. Okay? Having said that, this is your identity beyond this body. It actually makes you feel very positive and very good. Wow, I don't die. I'm forever. And in fact, my son is also forever, my husband is forever, my wife is forever, my parents are forever, all of my relatives are forever. I don't die, they also don't die. Can there be better news than this? Bhagavad Gita gives you good news always. It's the, when I was young, I studied in a Christian convent, so I used to be given the Good News Bible. I'm recollecting now. Well, it did not have so much of good news as in comparison to the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is real good news. It tells you, you don't die. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. On the battlefield, Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. Just imagine, he's going to kill so many people. And so many people are going to get killed. He's saying, what do you mean? You don't know this? Anarya jushtam aswargyam? I thought you know this. You cannot be killing with your silly arrow Bhishma and Drona. You're only killing their dress. They continue to live forever. They are part and parcel of me. Mamaivam shajiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Sanatana, eternally, they're all my part and parcels. You mean to say your tiny arrow here is going to blow it and kill their individuality, their existence? No. It just rips off their dress. And you can always get another dress. That's not a difficulty for me. Another one can be made in another womb. I've got a lot of manufacturing units all over the place, strewn around. And they're all amazingly capable of, if the soul enters, Karmana daivanetrena jantur deho upapattaye striya pravishta udaram pumsareta kanashaya. Very beautiful shloka from the Bhagavad says, the soul travels in the semen of the male and enters the womb. And there, in the factory of the mother's womb, a body is developed. Nature works very fast. And that mother does not know anything. She's not involved in the manufacturing. She's not involved in the design. She doesn't even know her body is being used by material nature to make. All she knows is one fine day somebody is going to be born. My kid is going to come out. Da la la la. Actually, it's a manufacturing unit. It's making a dress, making a body according to the karma. Karmana daivanetrena. According to that soul's karma. According under the superintendence of the Lord. Daivanetrena, under his eyes. Jantur deho upapattaye. The jantu, that atma, he gets a body. How? Striya pravishta udaram. Into the female's womb. He enters on the semen. Pumsha retha kanashaya. Retha means semen. Kana ashaya means, kana means very small he is. The soul. Ashaya means he takes shelter of the semen and gets inside. Under the plan, there's a massive arrangement there and is being watched by many, how the entrance is occurring according to the karma and everything. But you don't know any of those things. You don't know the massive machinery working on, the system working on, right? This is mentioned. So we have done that again and again and again and again, entered so many wombs. So many wombs. And we have come out of so many times, in so many wombs, taken so many births. This is one birth you've taken. You're called Saranya Kuchikaran or Satyendra Hirendra Desai or Sainath or Rotarian Henry Amal Raj or Punita Bhuvandas or, Siban Ravi. These are all names of the particular body you got in this lifetime. And when you call Saranya, you turn around and said, who called me? Because that's the name for the body. Isn't that? This is the amazing thing is going. So, if you die, doesn't matter, you'll come back again. You come back in a different dress. Come back in a different dress. So Krishna is chastising Arjuna and saying, you didn't understand this before fighting the war? What do you mean? I'm sure when you're 5 years old, when you went to Gurukula, they taught you this.